Welcome, everybody, to the Thursday edition of Navigate Home. Today, we're going to be talking a lot about veterans aid and attendance and how can individuals qualify for long-term care assistance using, provided that they are a veteran and have served, and we're going to talk about what those qualifications are. Um, Navigate Home is essentially a bunch of professionals that serve the aging senior community. We come together and it's just resources available to everyone and information to share as we serve that group. We get together on Facebook Live Tuesdays at noon and Thursdays at 7. So always tune in as there's new content and information that is great just to share with anyone that you might find have value in the information that we're providing. Let's get started on what essentially is long-term care and what assistance is there for individuals. We're going to compare a little bit Medicaid. We're going to talk about VA. How do they work together, and how does that work? Also, other options when it comes to long-term care. But essentially, what long-term care is it's, let's just call it skilled nursing. So it's nursing home care, which in the state of Michigan averages about $8,600 per month. Now that's statewide. We serve a lot of families in southeastern Michigan, and that in southeastern Michigan, it can range anywhere from ten to $15,000 per month if someone needs skilled nursing long-term care. So often families are coming to our office to figure out, what are my options when it comes to long-term care assistance from a legal perspective. I guess I didn't give that great of an introduction. My name is Mike Rutkowski, owner of the Rutkowski Law Firm. We specialize in estate preservation and asset protection from a legal standpoint. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. So let's jump right in and let's talk about VA aid and attendance. So there's a program out there for individuals who served, because the qualification is that you have to have served during wartime. And so often we get questions about, like, what does that mean? What does serving mean? And there's certain date requirements. So as long as you served within one day of the required dates for this program, you can qualify. And so often the question we get is, well, like, what kind of service did I need? Is it, boots on the ground, or can I just have, served working as an engineer in the Army or whatever that person served in? And so that's really it. You just have to have served during those dates. And so we can help you with what those dates are. I think they're available online as well. Google them and you'll come up with what those dates are, but we'd be happy to help as well if you reach out to us. So that's the first requirement. You have to have served. Then next, there's an asset test that goes along with it, similar to Medicaid. So a lot of people, when it comes to assistance with long-term care, the two go-to programs in the industry are VA aid and attendance and Medicaid. And those are the two that can really help supplement and help pay for that, $10,000, $15,000 a month fee. And so both of them have an asset test component. We're going to get into that in a second. But they both supplement very well to help cover those costs. And so some of the big differences between the two programs, and we'll kind of compare them as we're going along, because a lot of times the planning is very similar. The biggest difference right out of the gate is that VA aid and attendance is a pension program. So if you qualify physically and from an asset perspective, they are going to essentially write you a check in your name, and you can use it for whatever you want to use it for. So whether that's assistance coming into the home, assisted living, skilled nursing, as long as you meet the requirements from a physical standpoint and asset standpoint, you can use those funds for the aid and attendance program for whatever level of care you need. The difference with Medicaid is Medicaid only hits that threshold of skilled nursing, and they just pay your providers for you, very much more similar to like a health insurance would. So just how they function is definitely a little bit different there. Aid and attendance is more like a pension that gets paid to you, where Medicaid pays directly to the providers. Okay. The next thing that we need to talk about is the asset test, and what does that look like? So they're very similar for Medicaid and VA aid and attendance. It's approximately 123, let's just call it $125,000 in assets, one house and one car you're allowed to have. So as long as you meet that asset level where you only have 125,000 of countable assets, one house and one car, and that's where as a law firm we can really help, because there's things like a asset protection trust, a VA trust, a Medicaid trust, things that you can place assets in where you still have control of the assets, but they become non-countable for those programs like VA aid and attendance and Medicaid. And so, utilizing those trust strategies, we can get people qualified from an asset perspective. Now, from a physical perspective, I mean, obviously, the person has to have the needs in order to get the benefit. And those need-based tests are typically looking at your activities of daily living. So these are things like, getting in and out of bed, using the restroom, being able to bathe yourself, feed yourself, those kinds of things. And typically it's a 3 activities of daily living standard. And what that means is there's typically a list of activities of daily living that you could Google also to see what that list is. And if you have difficulty with 3 of those, you can qualify from a physical needs standpoint. There are some exceptions, obviously. With every rule, there's always exceptions. And a lot of those exceptions revolve around cognitive impairment. So if an individual has difficulty with or a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, dementia, those things typically will trump those 3 activities of daily living, although a person will probably still have some of those difficulties. But a diagnosis of one of those, usually it can trump that altogether, and you will meet the physical needs test. And then, like I was mentioning before, from there, it's now we need to look at your assets, okay? One of the big differences in an asset test look from a Medicaid standpoint and a VA standpoint is with VA, their dollar amount that you're allowed to hold on to applies to an individual or a spouse, where with Medicaid, a married couple is allowed that higher amount, that like, just let's round it up to 125,000. And for a individual looking at applying for Medicaid, you're only allowed $2,000. So there's definitely a big difference there. With aid and attendance, it's a individual or married couple, it's the same amount. With Medicaid, it drops significantly less to $2,000. That doesn't mean that we still can't do planning, because we can. We just, there's a little bit less that you're allowed to keep outside of trust, or however we determine is the best way to move forward on that. So that's what the asset portion of it looks like. There's another thing that is always looked at when applying for whether it's Medicaid or VA, is they want your financial statements for X number of years. Medicaid, there's something called a 5-year look back. And with VA aid and attendance, there's a 3-year look back. And what that essentially means is that Medicaid and VA want your financial statements for the last 3 to 5 years to see, does it look like this person just gave away all their assets so that either VA or Medicaid has to pick up the bill on it? And if they determine that there's something that they don't like, maybe you gifted away money to kids, whatever the case may be, they're gonna issue you, at least under Medicaid, something called a penalty period. And what that penalty period is they're saying, well, because you did this back, a year ago, we're not going to pay for your care for 10 months, because there's a equation that figures out, and we can help you with that, as to how long the penalty period would be. And so, it's very important to do VA or Medicaid planning as early as possible, because if you can get through that 3 or 5 year window, you can hold on to or protect 100% of your assets. That's not to say that there still can't be things done when the need arises. So we essentially call it crisis planning. but we can still hold on to quite a good percentage, 50 to 70%, sometimes even 100%, depending on how the assets are structured, even if the person needs care tomorrow. So, those are the things that we would walk a family through if they came into our office to talk about it. But, essentially, you got to be looking at the big picture, and does the individual applying for the governmental benefit meet the asset test and the physical eligibility test? And if they meet both of those, they would qualify. They're two really both good programs. Again, some of the bigger differences are, Medicaid, there's certain facilities, although most will take Medicaid. VA, again, it's a check written into your name where you can use it for anywhere. Again, in-home care, all types of different services that someone could potentially need. So those are the biggest differences. Just looking at the getting the planning done as soon as possible, making sure your countable assets are where they need to be, so that once someone needs that care, they have that available to them. Last thing I want to cover is, how do these programs work together? And that's a great question that we always get, because you can get both of the benefits. You can get Medicaid and VA. Essentially, how it works, though, is that, let's say, just for instance, your bill is $10,000 a month, and you're getting $2,500 per month from VA. So first, the VA benefits will pay the $2,500, and then Medicaid will pay the balance. So if you didn't have the VA benefit, Medicaid would cover that entire amount. Where if you have VA, they kind of work together. They combine to cover your full care. And so those are a great starting point of information that could, it's very beneficial for people to kind of just know. A lot of people don't know that they can even be entitled to that, and it's never really too late to apply. And we walk families through that all the time. So, if you ever have any further questions, want to come in for a free consultation to get more information about Medicaid planning, VA planning, either go to our website, rutkowskilawfirm.com. That's RUTKOWSKI lawfirm.com. Or give us a call at 1-800-ESTATES or 248-792-9193. Just want to, again, thank everyone for having me on. Look for us on Tuesdays at noon, Thursdays at 7 for more information provided from Navigate Home. It's a great, group of professionals in the community that just provide good information, can connect you with the right people as individuals are aging in the senior population. It's just a really great group of people that you can trust. So Mike Rutkowski signing off. Thank you, everyone, for having me. Take care.